Hey friends, welcome to day 7. You've made it through the first week of our beginner month-long yoga series. This class is restorative. It means it's going to be really yummy and gentle. Highly recommend having some props with you, especially some soft props. So a bolster would be good, or pillows, or towels, or blankets. The goal of this class is not to get as much range of motion as you physically can. It's not to get as deep into a pose as you can. That is a style of yoga. I tend to think it encourages people to push past their limits to the point of injury sometimes. So if something ever does not feel right in your body, listen to that. Listen to that inner body knowing and back off a little bit. No pose is worth an injury. No stretch is worth an injury. Yeah, that's my little spiel. If you like this class, if you like this series, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, and share. And then I have my Venmo link listed below. If you would feel so inclined to donate, that would be amazing. I put a lot of time and effort into these, and it would be wonderful and it would mean a lot, but I want you here regardless. Thank you for being here. We're gonna get started laying on our backs today. If at any point laying on your back, even that in and of itself, with your legs stretched long, if that feels like a lot for the low back, one of my favorite variations is to bring a bolster or a pillow underneath my knees. And it just takes a little bit of tension and stretch off also of the front of the hip flexors, because when those are tight, they can rock your pelvis in a certain way, which then can put a little bit of twinge in the low back. So this is a really, really good option. And relax and breathe here. Find that soft and fluid and even, steady inhale and exhale through your nose. And feel as if your bones could sink heavier. So notice if your shoulder tips are pointing up to the sky, can you soften through the front of the chest, through the sides of the neck and the jaw? Notice if those muscles around your spine are clenching, and see if you can really widen and soften through the low back space. There's something about letting the surface underneath you support you instead of constantly using all your strength and might and attention to hold yourself up. Emotionally, energetically, can you also just release a little bit? So this is a pose that we often end class in. It's called Shavasana or corpse pose. But I think it feels good to start here too and just ground and center in. If you ever need to know where to put your hands, if you turn them face down and place them on your body somewhere, this is really grounding and centering and calming. If you turn your palms up towards the sky, it's more a sign of inviting energy in. So whatever option you need. All right, even though we could stay here all day, I want you to learn a few more poses. So go ahead and release the bolster or the prop if you took one. We're gonna move into a banana pose, which is a side body lengthener. Go ahead and bridge up through your hips and scoot them all the way to the right edge of the mat. Extend your legs long into the left corner of the mat. So in the opposite way, cross your right ankle over top of your left ankle. Now, if you want more, push through your elbows to shimmy your shoulders to the left. And then arms can reach overhead. Left hand can clasp onto right wrist, or you can just hold on to opposite elbows. So feet and arms are in the same way, and they're opposite of the right hip. Feel that length all the way down the right side of the body. Spend a few breaths to inflate your right lung and to really stretch into those muscles, your intercostal muscles between each rib space. Imagine a sandbag weighing your right hip down really heavy. Just a couple more breaths here. As you're ready for it, come back to a neutral center line. Bend your knees, push through your feet, and scoot your hips to the left side of the mat. Legs extend long to the right. Left ankle crosses on top of right, and then shoulder shimmy to the right. Right hand can clasp left wrist, or you can hold opposite elbows and sink heavy through the left sit bone this time. Big breaths all along the left side of your body. Enjoy the side stretch. Two more cycles of breath. Good. As you're ready, come back through center. We will find a supine twist, which is a really great pose to kind of end class with right before Shavasana, or to start class with. Extend both knees, both legs long. Have your bolster on the left side of the mat. Draw your right knee in towards your body, and then cross it over the body to the left side. You can rest a bolster underneath your right inner thigh. And then with our right arm, we can either create a goalpost cactus shape by bending your right elbow, or you can extend your right arm out long. And then for a nice stretch through the neck, your gaze follows your right thumb. The goal here is to have both shoulder blades grounded. It's a really nice kind of wringing out of the spine, but also you might feel a stretch on the right outer glute. If you want more sensation, you can remove your bolster and have your right knee kind of touching the mat. But for this one, I would say, let's build the ground up to you a little bit. We'll stay here 5 breaths. So again, letting your body sink into whatever support system is underneath it. Big exhale, roll through center. Bring your bolster to the other side. Straighten both legs. Draw your left knee into your chest, and then cross it over your body to the right. Left arm comes out to that cactus shape or to a straight arm, and the bolster is underneath your left inner thigh. Try to ground down through your left shoulder blade and then look out towards the left. Right hand can come on the outer left thigh to give it some weight to pull it down towards the bolster. Two more cycles of breath. Good, exhale, roll into your belly. Move your prop if you need. We are gonna find a Sphinx Pose. If you need some cushioning for your elbow, go ahead and place a towel or a blanket underneath. Prop your elbows underneath your shoulders. Place the tops of the feet down. And then think about threading your heart through the window made by your shoulders. If you want, you can find a little tuck of your tailbone underneath you and engage the front of the core slightly if you have any type of low back discomfort. This will stretch the front line of our body. Now this is a little bit more active. We're using our muscles to prop us up. If you want to make it super passive, you can just come down so your forehead rests on the back of your hands. This is Crocodile Pose. So it's basically like a belly Shavasana. Really just letting everything melt down into the mat. Now if you want to progress and stretch a little further, from your propped elbow position, you can plant your palms onto the mat and then stretch your elbows a little bit straighter, lifting your heart higher, feeling that increase of the sensation on the front of your core. This is called seal pose. Again, if you feel any crunchiness in the low back, lower back down, or see what it feels like to tuck your tailbone under, engage the front of the core. That always helps me. 3 more breaths wherever you are. Good. Now we're gonna roll onto our right hip. Lower down onto your right elbow, roll onto your right hip. Left fingertips are extending basically straight out from your belly button. And then we're gonna sink our right rib cage down towards the earth. So another side bend. Usually we say to push the elbow or the shoulder and the ear away from each other and stay active through the shoulder girdle. But for this one, it's okay if you kind of slouch a little bit and let the right ear and right shoulder meet. Again, I think this feels awesome. If you want more sensation, press your right palm down, straighten your right elbow. I call this lazy side seal. I have no idea if it has a name, but it's seal, but you're on your side and you're kind of lazy about it, so that's what I say. Again, think about inflating your right lung. Maybe you feel a stretch you've never felt before. Side bending is the best. Good, as you're ready, lower down onto your right elbow. We will switch sides. Left elbow to the mat, roll onto your left hip. Right fingertips are in front of your belly button for support. And then we shift our right rib cage down towards the earth. Drop your left ear to your left shoulder. Stay here or push your left palm into the mat, straighten your left elbow. And breathe into your left lung. One more big inhale. And exhale, lower down, come through center. Come onto hands and knees, tabletop pose. And then we'll find a child's pose, Halasana, another one of my favorites. Let's find a block or a pillow for this option. We're gonna bring our big toes to touch in the center at the back of the mat, and then walk your knees out really wide. Slide your bolster right underneath your groin. Sink your hips back and then lay onto one ear. Give that bolster a nice little hug with your arms. You could literally fall asleep here. If you don't have the bolster, your option is to stretch your arms in front of you and let your belly hang heavy towards the mat. If this feels really, really tight on your hips, you could place an additional prop between your heels and your bottom. And that lessens, it decreases the distance. You could also just kind of prop up onto your elbows here. Find whatever works for you. I really like hugging the bolster, but that might be a lot with your hips to start with. That was how it was for my husband, so I think having that little prop in the back feels good. All right, 3 more breaths. Exhale, release, remove your prop. And just for a couple breaths, let's walk our hands over to the right in our child's pose. So they're elongating out from our right knee. Sink your left hip bone down. Stretch long through your left pinky finger. Side body stretch in a child's pose. Just a couple cycles of breath here. Good. Walk your hands all the way over to the left. Sink your right sit bone down and stretch long through your right pinky finger. Good. Walk back through center. Scoot your way to the middle of your mat. This is a good place to find a towel or a blanket. You're gonna place it underneath your sit bones, and this is gonna allow us to kind of forward tilt our pelvis a little bit so that we're not slumping through low back. All right, extend your legs long in either direction. This is a straddle or a wide-legged sit. Another good place for a prop is underneath your knees to create just a little bend in them so they don't feel like they're totally straightening. And this kind of just protects the back of the joint space there. Now, we are going to find a side bend here. Grab whatever you need to build the ground up to you. I like to stack a bolster on top of a prop, maybe on the outside of your knee, depends how you're feeling today. Or you can just lay the bolster lengthwise down your whole right thigh. Place your elbow down on the bolster. Cradle your head here. Right hand to hold the skull. And then reach your left arm up and overhead. Didn't realize how many side bends we were gonna do today, but they feel so good. One more breath in. One more breath out lifts you back to center, and we'll switch it out. So lay that prop lengthwise down your left leg. Lean onto your left elbow, cradle your head with your left hand, and then reach right arm up and overhead. I like to bend my elbow and have my right fingertips hold the left underside of my skull as well. One more breath in. One more breath out lifts you back through center. All right, one final pose is Halasana, Plow Pose. This lengthens the back side of the body. You're gonna come onto your back. I would have a couple props over your head. Now this is a lot. If this isn't for you, totally fine. You can kind of instead pull your knees into your chest or hold onto the underside of your thighs, clasp opposite wrists, and let your knees bend over your forearms. If you'd like to go deeper into Plow Pose, you're gonna press your palms into the mat to lift your hips up and over to the front or to the back of the mat towards your head. So if you're open in the hamstrings and the back body, your toes might touch behind you. You might bend your knees to touch the mat. But if you need a little bit of support here, this is where a prop comes into play. You can place it underneath your shins and build the ground up to you. Palms can press into the earth or it can support the low back. Don't turn the head in either direction in this pose. Good. Let your knees dangle heavy. Feel that length all the way from the back of the neck, the mid back, the lower back. And then if your legs are straight,
your hamstrings and calves as well. Just 4 more cycles of breath. Slowly, slowly, use your hands as brakes on the earth and lower your pelvis back down to the mat. Good. Feet come out wide, knees come in the center to touch. 3 breaths to recenter and recalibrate. That's a big pose, so by no means feel like you need to master it this time. But don't feel shy trying it out, just seeing what it feels like. Good. As you're ready, roll onto one side and come to a seat. That is our restorative yin-ish style practice for front body, back body, and side body. The whole core center line of you. I hope you liked it. That was just a taste, just some poses that you might see more frequently than others. I hope this whole series is just kind of an introduction to you. You learn by doing. So the more you experience, the more you practice, the more you will learn. But this is aimed to just give you more of a taster. So I hope you liked it, and I will see you next time.